run out of lies. And if the ocean starts to rise, and we can't deny, the end of times is prophesied, so don't be afraid. Cause we rely on what he provides and what he has made. He takes and makes and runs our lives, and we have no time. And we don't care who lives or dies to save us a dime. As long as we have big TV so we can all see facsimiles of big green trees like there used to be. Oh, King Cole is a dirty old soul. And the dirty old soul is here. Old King Cole is a dirty old soul. Full of honor in the street. Old King Cole is a dirty old soul. And your dirty old soul is here. Old King Cole is a dirty old soul.
You must think that you are so unique, trying to educate all the free, blissfully unaware of how crude, heard before, bigoted and plain rude. All the things that you say come up every day. There is one thing that I can't understand, and it's you, dear, head in the sand. It's not really ignorance of mine, just the willful bigots to find us. There is one thing that I can't understand, and it's you, dear, head in the sand. That's not really ignorance of mine, just the willful bigots who find us. Don't let them define us.
Welcome to the Anti-Nazi Gaming League show where we just geek the fuck out over whatever we want. Welcome. Thank you for sticking around. Hello, Alex. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I want to get into this. This is going to be there's going to be a lot of stuff going on this stream. As I'm sure y'all saw in the thumbnail, we're still waiting on one of our Philosopher Kings to come on stream here, but in the meantime, let's see. I see you sleeping in games. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. While we're waiting on, and let's see. Logan, you ready to hop in? Oh, and we lost someone. See, things always start off great here at the Anti-Nazi Gaming League. Technical difficulties are good. Oh, I see. Hello.
I was wondering when you were going to put me on. I've been ready.
Okay. Yeah, that's on me. All right. As you can see, still figuring stuff out. But we do have one of our guests on right now. Let's add Cory to the stream.
Oh.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Hey everyone, I'm great. How are you? I just had the power go out, so I joined back just in time.
Oh,
So I hope it doesn't go out again.
Yeah, there's a lot of power.
So if that happens, so you'll know.
Oh. Hopefully
Well,
not, but I'm glad you can join us.
I'm glad too. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on. This is fun.
So, viewers are probably familiar with your work as well as Roderick's at the Center for Stateless Society. Read your stuff there, but today we're just geeking out. So, what stuff? What is it that you are the biggest nerd about? Do you collect anything? You do comics? What's your story? What's going on?
Yeah, I like comics a lot. I'm a big fan of the character Batman. If you've ever heard of him, kind of obscure, but. So I figured we could talk about that a little bit. And I don't see Roderick here. Is Roderick not here?
Not yet. Doesn't look like, but that's the
I'll
thing.
message him.
You gotta keep him waiting. Let me pull up our topics just to make sure that I'm good. So yeah, what is it about Batman? Because as a lot of our viewers are probably aware, we lean sort of anti-vigilante billionaire, private defense folks. Well, outside of certain situations. But what's the main thing with Batman for you? What's the compelling thing there?
Well, I've always liked the personal story to the character. I like the tortured hero character, and I feel like a lot of his iterations is very compelling and sometimes relatable and kind of inspiring, the way he kind of channels his trauma and his scars into something positive. I really like the latest movie because it was really all about that kind of interpretation of the character. It was focusing on kind of redemption and how, he's capable of that. And then he can kind of see how even his villains are capable of that, as opposed to the Nolan versions, which I don't really like as much, and kind of lean into to a certain political interpretation of the character. And like you said, and I think in a lot of stuff, it's fun to he's flawed, not just as a person, right, but in his means and in his view of crime in the world, and it's flawed. And it's fun when that gets kind of critiqued and his worldview gets challenged. Or some versions, I think, lean into it or vindicate it, perhaps. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But I like kind of analyzing him through that lens for sure.
He's very much. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but he's
Go
just
ahead.
very much, in my view, people like to pin him as fascist, and I mean, I look at it more as that whole saying of scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds, like that type of thing. I look at him as more neoliberal and trying to do well at time, in a lot of senses, just very flawed basis.
Yeah, I think there's that. I think that some of the good stories are kind of looking at how he's reacting to crime, to ill and to problems in the world, and kind of not looking at their root cause or their proactive solutions, perhaps. So it's not a very systematic kind of worldview. I think some stories maybe show that he can kind of grow and perhaps understand that there's other means to improve the world. Sometimes not, but I totally agree.
Yeah, I always think Batman is fascinating in that respect, and in the same way that I think like characters like Punisher are flawed, are amazing characters because they're flawed human beings who reflect a certain type of societal mindset. In his case, both dealing with his PTSD and time as a soldier, and also his breakdown of trust in the current policing system. Ironic that they're using his skull. Love that he called them out in the comics, though.
Also on Batman, real quick, before I start playing, we got Batman Beyond N64 going here. But on the subject of Batman being a really complicated character that can embody a whole lot of different things, it's kind of neat. In this game, we have, the standard bat suit, or you could be offensive, you can play defensive, and there's even nimble. So
That is interesting.
And Terry's not as much of. I mean, his background is a lot different than Bruce's, and he definitely takes a little bit different view to things as well. But he's still out there fighting. What was Henry Rollins's weird ass Ted K style Anne Prem character?
Like
Who
the
was
Mad
blowing up
Bomber?
libraries because he thought too much information was the problem with the world.
Yeah, I remember that episode. He was like the Mad Bomber or something.
Yeah, some weird shit like that.
One thing I think a lot of people fail to realize is you don't necessarily have to agree with the politics of a comic book character to like the comic.
No, and honestly, you don't even have to agree with the politics of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think we'll definitely touch on in this with our roundtable topics today. But I'm just curious before we move on to that. You said you're a big fan of Batman. Do you have a decent Batman collection? Comics, figures? What you got?
Yeah, I collect Batman stuff. You can see I have a Batman shirt of what I think is the best Batman movie, Mask of the Phantasm. And then you can also see, I don't have all my stuff up. I can kind of see this room's totally, this used to be my wife's office, and then now the other room is where she's doing her work. So now this room is going to be where I'm putting my stuff. But you can see my posters and my collectibles, I suppose. I have some Adam West signature there, some comics, some statues. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've liked him my whole life. So, yeah, flaws and all.
That is amazing. So did you keep up with any of the San Diego Comic-Con news the other weekend?
A little bit. Yeah, there's been so much. It's hard to keep track of comic book news. There's a lot. That's a big domain. So it depends probably on what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we figured we would go through some of the just big shit in general. But in Batman comic news, what was actually cool is, I don't know if you heard, but Todd McFarlane and Greg Capullo are actually teaming up for another Spawn Batman crossover.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
That's we get the first one since I think the 90s was the last one. So hell yeah, I'm super excited for that. Actually, I want to say Chuck Dixon worked on one of the last ones. And again, amazing person or amazing artist. Like, I love a lot of his work on Punisher. I love his Batman stuff. The dude is working for Arcaven Comics now. Vox Days fucking comic book label. The neo-Nazi, or sorry, the alt-right Christian nationalist and white supremacist. So yeah, Chuck Dixon's working for him now.
I heard a great thing recently, which was, to make it easier, you can shorten nationalist Christians to Nat-Cs.
Oh God, I love it. But yeah, no, it's very wild just to see that progression of some of the people who've really just taken sides in Comicsgate stuff and literally buddied up to fascists. And Chuck Dixon's one of them, and it's really weird because he's always been conservative, but I never thought he would go that route. And I don't know, it's very weird. But anyways, Comic-Con. We had announcements that Powerpuff Girls is getting a reboot with Craig McCracken actually at the helm. Hopefully no Turf Buttercup. Fingers crossed. More Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. We got John Wick 4. Dragon Ball Superhero. That just actually premiered in theaters, but that trailer dropped that weekend. The D&D movie, Honor Amongst Thieves. Lord of the Rings of Power, the new Tales of the Walking Dead series, Rick and Michonne miniseries, all the fucking Marvel announcements for the next 2 phases, pretty much, which, holy shit, we got the announcement that Bill Murray is going to be in the new Ant-Man. So Bill Murray is now going to be part of the MCU. Daredevil Born Again. So, I mean, we already knew Charlie Cox Daredevil was canon again, but holy shit. That was, yes. Wakanda Forever. That trailer made me cry.
Yeah, the trailer was good and sad.
Yeah, like honestly, I did not know what to expect, but oof, that one hit hard, and definitely you both felt his absence, but also you felt like he was all over that trailer at the same time. And I like that. So yeah, I'm curious to see where that goes, and I'm very curious to see who's wearing the suit. I also loved the Ironheart armor getting made, and holy shit, the Atlanteans. They look so dope.
Yeah, I thought Namor looked great. He's got the
Right?
wings on the ankles and everything. They didn't shy away from that kind of silliness.
Yeah, I really love the interpretation that they're actually going with, and you know, it's awesome. I am excited. What else? We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3, She-Hulk, which I just saw the first episode of right before this, and I put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the show. So I mean, has anybody seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet.
No.
Really behind on Marvel.
Well, no spoilers then, but holy shit. It's funny to watch people complain because she addresses the fact that she has to deal with it, you know, she has to stay calm on the regular and deal with people, you know, belittling her and doing things that anger her just because that's life as a woman. And they pointed out,
I saw the
you know,
quotes. Yeah,
like
the
sexism.
and
Yeah, they pointed out that
mansplaining.
she deals with sexism on the daily, and that's angering, and she has to control her anger.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I don't know, it's pretty damn cool. I love seeing I love seeing Smart Hulk, as he calls himself in this one. And just, yeah, it's pretty great. I love it. All the fourth wall breaking you expect, everything.
Yeah, I was worried they would shy from that because Deadpool got it first in the movies, even though She-Hulk got it first in the books. So it's good that because there's other things that they're doing that are really annoying fans to avoid, like similarities, like Miss Marvel's powers not totally resembling her comic book powers to avoid similarities to Mr. Fantastic. So I thought this could be one of those things, but it wasn't.
It's sometimes I don't really like some of the changes they make. So far, this interpretation of the first episode, I've really enjoyed. At first, I was. I don't know. At first, in the commercials, I was kind of off foot by the CGI, but now I've gotten used to it. I kind of like it. But I don't know. Other than that, that was the only complaint that I really had about it. It was pretty damn good. What else do we get? We got the I Am Groot shorts, which I've watched a couple of them since they came out, and they're pretty cute.
Yeah, someone just commented Gray Hulk is best, and I am sad that we've never gotten that. Hulk's been kind of sidelined.
Yeah, I mean, whatever fucking rights issues with Universal, because I think they still hold that
Yeah,
Well,
that's a shame.
yeah.
He's
Go
such an
pester
interesting
them.
character. Okay.
Let's see what else. Secret Wars. Holy shit, we saw that announcement. It's all leading up to Secret Wars, which makes
That was
sense actually.
predictable at this point.
We also got more news about X-Men 97, and obviously it's going to pick up with Magneto leading the X-Men, which for anybody who's watched the original, kind of the obvious conclusion of where that was going to go. So super fucking excited. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Big fan of that show. So good that they're like following the organic storyline that the last episode set up for people who've seen that.
Oh yeah. No, I love that all this stuff from our childhood is coming back. I know there's, people talking about the issues with that of just how much companies are banking on nostalgia instead of coming out with original stuff, but there's still original shit too.
Mhm.
Everybody loves nostalgia too.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope one thing I don't like, one of the only things I don't like about our childhood X-Men show, in this case X-Men the animated series, is that I think they were prevented, or I assume they were prevented. In the show, it definitely was the case that Magneto was not Jewish, and there was no mention of the Holocaust or anything. And they even changed his first name to Magnus. So I hope they find some way to do justice to that in that canon. I have no idea how, but I feel like that would be great.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't actually... I know his Jewish identity was actually added in later to the comics anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, was there anything... It's been forever since I saw it, but was there anything that explicitly, denied that aspect of him in that
well,
show?
So that backstory definitely was added, I think, in the 80s by Chris Claremont. So it was definitely a part of the character by the time the show came out. And so it wasn't... so what it was that they changed his name from Eric Lencher to Magnus, and then they gave him a kind of a tragic backstory, but it's like this vague story from when he's an adult losing his wife and son in some sort of kind of geopolitical event, and it's all very vague, and so I guess there's nothing that contradicts it. Your headcanon could be, hey, like this happened to him as a kid, and also we've just never seen it mentioned.
Yeah,
but they just shied away from it on the show, which I never liked. They made up this thing that to kind of give him sympathy that wasn't the other thing, the Holocaust and stuff. So
yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that had to be just censorship at that time and not being able to talk about heavy issues in a kid's show.
I mean, it was a kid's show, so I can understand kind of trying to shy away from that a little bit, as unfortunate as it is, but.
But I feel like Batman the Animated Series didn't treat us as kids to that degree.
There's something about, in particular, because there was going to be another Marvel cartoon in that era about Captain America. And so I've heard of that a little bit. And as my understanding is, it got pretty far into development. But then the network started saying, well, you can't... Your story is him fighting in World War II, and he's fighting the Nazis and all this stuff, and we can't have that. So no swastikas, no Nazis. So they radically changed the story, and then it fell apart. And there's a case for all the maturity of the DC animated universe that started with Batman the Animated Series. There's an episode where I think of Justice League where they go back in time to fight Vandal Savage during World War II, and again they were not allowed to put swastikas. They kind of used an SS symbol, I think, that kind of would invoke, but they weren't allowed to use actual swastikas. So it feels like at that time, the studio, just very avoidant of anything.
I could be wrong, but isn't censorship in Germany also to a similar degree, where even when portraying Nazis in films, in media, they can't really always portray Nazi imagery?
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange, and it's just, how are you supposed to show anti-fascist shit without being able to show fascist shit? It's a weird form of censorship.
The same censorship Facebook engages in. If you call out fascists on Facebook, they usually ban you for it.
Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, all the platforms we're streaming
Mhm.
on right now. It's really, yeah, that double standard is not okay. It's also odd though when you get the other end of it, where we have a guy who comes to MegaCon every year dressed as Red Skull in a full Nazi uniform. It's a really, it is a really good cosplay. I'm not gonna lie. I don't trust a person who owns a full Nazi uniform though. So that's weird that he just comes every year and isn't really challenged to the degree that you'd expect. I mean, no, I don't expect them to call that out because they're just going to be like, "Oh, it's comic accurate."
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's ever asked him.
Yeah, I wonder if he would just outright, if you were white, just outright admit, yeah, try and recruit you. Uh but no, I've never even so much as taken a picture with that dude, let alone gotten close enough to talk to him. But
Mhm.
he always gave me the creeps. Anyways, what else? We had our DC panel. Um, Shazam, the new Shazam trailer, Black Adam, Sandman, which, holy shit. I've only watched the first 3 episodes so far, but, yeah, did anybody watch that?
Yeah, so I just watched the 4th episode, so I'm one ahead of you. It's been really interesting so far. I didn't read the entirety of the Sandman comics, um, but I feel like they did a good job of capturing the whole like vibe of things just being, utterly surreal, which has been fun.
I just reread I've been rereading the Sandman comics as I'm going along and watching the episodes too. Because this season I think is based off the first 2 story arcs, and I'm like halfway through the first story arc. And so far I haven't gotten past that in the show storyline. So it's actually pretty cool to see the differences and as I'm refreshing myself on the comics. And it I mean, I love Sandman. That's a series my mom got me into. She gifted me her set of Sandman comics, and it's the only series I've ever known her to collect. I mean, her and her husband got really into Walking Dead, and she collected some of the action figures and stuff, but none of the comics. Um, it, it's very, it's very interesting the places where it actually does not line up with the comics. Some is obvious, like, okay, they didn't include the Justice League. I mean, they did include Dr. Destiny, but you expect that. Like, John D is pretty integral to it. But at the same time, like, where I mean, what was it? The powder is with John Constantine in the comics. They changed that to Joanna Constantine, which she is a real character from the comics for people, out there complaining that they gender swapped him. Yes and no. I understand. Neil's reasoning was that he wanted since Morpheus was familiar with Joanna, uh, as the elder Joanna, her descendant. In the purposes of that, he wanted it to be someone more immediately recognizable. So playing the same actress, so you having her played by the same actress her descendant and her ancestor, kind of drew that link a little better than, in his opinion, than just having Joanna Constantine, the ancestor, show up for like a minute cameo and then John Constantine. Admittedly, I don't know if I agree with that choice. I kind of do wish we got John Constantine. I wonder if part of the reason they changed it truly is because maybe they couldn't get Matt Ryan for whatever reason, and he is kind of the definitive Constantine right now. Also, they actually pronounce it Constantine in this show, which is the actual proper like British pronunciation. And that's really awesome.
Oh, I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time.
The proper pronunciation is Constantine. It's just in American media and a lot of the live action and cartoons, they call him Constantine so much that even I switch between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, technically it is Constantine. But that's how Alan Moore pronounces it and shit. So, I mean, and it's, I don't know, like I do wish John Constantine was in there, and I think most people would understand that John and Joanna are related. Like I don't think audiences need to be handheld to that degree, but I also really did enjoy I really did enjoy that they still made her very much the same character in many ways. I'm a little fuzzy on what her relationship with Astra is in this canon. Like I know it's very, it's very weird to have her have John's backstory with Astra in a similar manner, but also like I couldn't tell if Astra was like her daughter or something in this one. It was very confusing.
I thought little sister is what they were going for, but I'm
Yeah,
really not sure.
I wasn't sure if it was her and her girlfriend's kid. I mean, I know we saw the dad, but like it was very confusing to me. Um but wherein the comic differed, it was very interesting. Like the scene where they go to her girlfriend's house. In the comic, when Jean and Morpheus go in, she's just in the bed decaying, like with the bag of sand, like in her dream, like in her dream state, in and out of her dream state, and they just kind of take the bag of sand and stuff. And the fact that they actually showed her dream before that, and I thought they were going a different route for a second there with the story. And then all of a sudden, when you find out that what they did in that was a dream, and no, it actually was just like in the comics, and you see her like that, and it's just like it hits so much harder. And also, one of the other big things that I love how Neil Gaiman really drew in a lot of older comics into that. I mean, he was redoing the old Sandman comics and draws in like Wesley Dobbs and shit as a character, like even though he's doing a different Sandman. But also um fuck, where was I going with my also the fact that he brings in Cain and Abel and the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery. And they were, Cain and Abel were horror hosts of those sister comics back in the day. And and then the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery were the settings where Cain and Abel each hosted their comics from, each narrated their stories from. And it's really cool to see them actually, it was really cool to see Neil Gaiman like actually draw in those characters and those settings. And I really loved how they brought them into the show too. And again, something they changed was instead of Morpheus taking his power back from their letters that he had given them, he takes their gargoyle. And holy shit, because they had 2 gargoyles in the comic at that point already. And then, and then just he takes the letters, but the way that they did it with Gregory, it was really sad. And then all of a sudden Irving becomes that much more important. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, I really love Sandman so far. So I am super excited for this to see where it goes. It's capturing the magic of it. I really love the way they keep highlighting and putting the shadow on Dream's face, because it actually does try and capture that feel of like his black and white image from the comic, and even the way his eyes shine in the dark is very similar, and like trying to capture that eye glow. I don't know. I love it so far. It's amazing. Sandman. What else? We had oh yeah, we had the announcement from Warner Brothers of their game Multiverses, which dropped right after that. And what a dystopia that is. Before we even get into the new news with Warner Brothers later in the roundtable, let's just talk about Multiverses and the fact that Warner Brothers owns that much media to just throw together Smash Brothers style with no regard to the fact that much of these characters are from media with wildly different demographics,
Mhm.
to the point where it's actually very questionable in some ways to smash them together in the single game.
You have what? Superman, Scooby Doo, Iron Giant, all
The
fighting.
dog they made up just for the game because somehow they're still out of characters. Like I
Wait,
don't.
what?
So Multiverses. The thing is, for one, the game is not very well made. Apparently, it's floaty as all hell.
But they made up a character?
Yeah, they made up quite a few. Let me get the name of it. It's like a weird reindeer furry dog thing, and I don't know why they have that. But yeah, they in addition to owning all this stuff, they're also just making new stuff up because I really can't understand the logic behind that. But
Can we talk about how fucked up it is that they now own LeBron James and could just put him in their game?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, or at least that version of LeBron James. But also like they just put Game of Thrones characters in there side by side with kids' cartoons as if that's not a story about like rape and incest and murder.
What I
Like,
find really
that's
funny is
not
that
okay.
apparently Iron Giant is the most OP meta character from what I've gathered too, and will literally stomp everybody from what I've seen online anyway.
Like, genuinely
that's
though,
pretty
like
funny.
as a parent, I am actually very disturbed that there are characters in there that from franchises that I really do not think are not aimed at kids, and kids should not really be watching.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I'm
kids should
okay
have
with
no clue who the Hound is.
but like I'm okay with, Game of Thrones. Once my son's a teenager, like whatever, have at it. Like, I'm not that restrictive of a parent at all. Like,
Mhm.
but like don't really want them going out their way at the age of 8 to go and try and look up what Game of Thrones is, because they watched Multiverse, or they were playing Multiverses, and fucking Tasmanian Devil or whoever was fighting, one of the Starks. Like, no. Like, as a parent, I actually really don't like that. And I think that's not good for a game. And I think it disrespects, on top of that, it disrespects what all these different franchises are about. It's not like Super Smash Brothers with Nintendo, where they arguably live in a multiverse. I mean, unless you're going with this literally just being a Space Jam 2 game taking place, in fucking the Serververse or whatever the hell that horrible fucking bullshit was. Like, I don't know. That's what it comes off as, is, hey, we created this Serververse in Space Jam 2, now let's create a game based off of it. And that's pretty bad. That was a terrible movie.
It's really terrible for Iron Giant, because the whole point of that movie was that he's not a weapon.
Yeah.
And now they're having him fight.
Yep.
No, they're disrespectful
really
to so many
fighting.
franchises. It's terrible what they did to Iron Giant. Like, seriously.
He's
What
not
the
even
hell
giant.
is wrong with them? Yeah, he's not even giant.
Iron's slightly big.
Iron Man. Oh, oops, we don't own that one.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It is Rain Dog, for the record. It's a reindeer and a dog, and it is only one out of like a sizable roster, but still, the fact they have to make shit up at
Wait,
this
what
point.
was it called?
It's Rain Dog. It's a teal.
Why?
It's a teal dog with little, like, I don't.
Can we interrupt the game to pull up a picture?
Let me.
Rain Dog.
Let's
I need to see this bullshit.
Let's find a good Rain Dog pick right there.
Why do they have? Are they creating a Rain Dog series now? Is there going to be a spin-off from Multiverses? Please tell me Rain Dog's going to become a thing. Nobody's going to pay attention to it.
Rain Dog. Where? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Rain Dog is a. Let's add that to the stream. It's just. It's not. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of a Pokemon.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That looks like a Pokemon.
That Pokemon? What type of Pokemon is that?
Green.
Green? No, I don't think it's a grass type.
They've gotten
No,
so
it's just
far
the colors
away.
are the types now. It's just
Yeah,
blue,
yeah.
green, orange. Those are the types.
Wait, is that a thing? I haven't kept up with that.
Oh no! I haven't followed Pokemon in decades.
Oh, I was like, did they really do that bullshit?
Oh
Yeah.
god.
That would suck.
But okay, Rain Dog, an original character.
Why?
So they can do it. He once came from a world called Xanadu, destroyed by a being known as the Nothingness. So
they made backstory at least.
Yeah, and the
Sounds like
backstory
Superman's.
is that it fell into, like, the whole planet fell into obscurity. Basically, that's really kind of sad.
Why is
I
Top
hope-
Cat so popular on the side?
I hope this character gets its own, like, TV show on, whatever new streaming service comes from the merger of Discovery Plus and HBO Max.
And it finds out that Rain Dog was the mastermind behind the whole destruction of the universes with this multiverse game.
Yeah, Rain Dog is the reason why we're going through this, and is also part of the royal family. So I don't know. I don't like Rain Dog.
It makes sense that Rain Dog would be behind all of this.
Yeah, what a piece of shit, Rain Dog. Fuck you.
Well, there's the official take from ANGL. Rain Dog is a piece of shit.
Yeah, Rain Dog.
Who's
is
Adolf Hitler? Who's
Wait,
Adolf
what?
Hitler? And the
What?
top right.
Adolf.
What?
Oh,
What? What is
this?
this?
It's a good thing we pulled up the Warner Brothers wiki here, because
Holy shit.
There's a minor antagonist in the Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yeah.
Inspiration. Adolf Hitler. Thanks for telling us that.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Other names:
wait a-
Hitler Cat.
Hold on. Wait. It's
Does
Warner
Adolf Hitler have a
Brothers-
page on?
Yes. Oh
What are they?
no.
On Warner Brothers?
Wait, is there? Can you click on
What's
the character tab?
Yeah, click on the character.
Kick on the
There.
character tab.
Oh.
Okay, short.
Oh, he's
film
in these
Bosco.
movies.
Oh yeah, he's okay.
Right, it's a cameo, which
Adolf
well,
Hitler made a cameo.
We thought we were in the cameo.
Wait a
phase
minute.
now.
Oh
Wait a
shit,
minute.
Again, they
he's
had
like the
tons of
Stan
cameos.
Lee of the Warner Brothers universe.
Wow.
Voiced
Hitler,
by
the
Mel
Stanley of
Blanc.
Warner Brothers.
Voiced by who?
voiced by Mel Blanc. So
He's the one who does them all. Yeah, he could do a great Hitler, I'm sure.
So there are still 3 slots. There's more revealed soon on the official roster for Multiverses. We have Black Adam, Stripe, and one more. You know,
Adolf Hitler.
yeah, both are in the
Both of
roster.
them.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, I would totally play as Top Cat.
Yeah, let's see what.
I thought you were going to
Top
say you
Cat's
play as Hitler, and I was like,
No.
I was very concerned.
As cartoon
yeah, I was concerned
Hitler.
where that was going.
There's
Y'all
Good
ever
way to
watch
fight
Top
Hitler or
Cat?
Hitler.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen Top Cat.
Huh.
I haven't seen Top Cat the movie that's on the screen there. But
Hmm,
Oh god,
well,
did
Top Cat
anybody see
Begins.
that what was it, Jellystone Park or whatever, that
Mhm.
HBO series that came out?
No, I thought about it.
what?
It was
About
so
Yogi Bear?
bad. I tried to force myself to watch it, and I got through 2 episodes and I could not get any further. Also, a lot of
Would you-
weird,
would you mind-
unnecessary gender changes in a confusing way. Like I didn't realize that the girl shark was actually Jabberjaw. Like through the whole first episode, because I was stoned as shit and it was just a shark talking with a completely different voice. And then somebody called her Jabberjaw, and I'm like, wait, is that like Jabberjaw's like sister or something? And I looked it up and I'm just like, nope, that's Jabberjaw.
If you go back to the Adolf Hitler page on this and look
Yeah.
at the cameos again,
Uh-huh.
could you click on one of those? I want to see what year. Just some of these, like the Bosco's picture show and all these. What year were the? Okay, so the
37.
this cameo is in 19. Okay, yeah, that's
37. Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these were actually really a big thing. I mean, they were about fighting Hitler. And
Yeah.
they were U.S.
Three.
propaganda.
Okay.
God. Wait, do they own the year 1933? Get out of here.
The one called the
1933.
Ductator is like
Who owns the
Well,
copyright to
yeah.
Hitler?
Is Warner Brothers on the copyright to
I-
Hitler?
It should be mentioned too that I think an implication here is that Rain Dog, unless they do put Hitler in Multiverse, which the future
Would be a
holds many
mistake.
possibilities, but Rain Dog cannot be against Hitler, which I think is just more against Rain Dog there. I don't.
Wait, did you say Rain Dog cannot be against
What?
Hitler?
Well, I'm just
So
saying-
Rain Dog has to be pro Hitler?
Confused.
Well, it's more like
Well, he's royalty.
Yeah, but it's more that it's interesting because we've got this expansive multiverse that has Adolf Hitler and Adolf Hitler. And and unless there is a crossover in which Rain Dog can I don't think Rain Dog has a stance on whether the Nazis are bad. And this just
Is Kittler Hitler's cat?
No, that's actually a completely separate thing. A much shorter bio than even Rain Dog, I think. But yeah, we're learning a lot, I must say. But I think
Are there
Yeah,
other
no,
Hitler variants in the Warner Brothers universe? They could have an Into the Hitlerverse if they combine Hitler, if there are any other
Oh my
Mecha Hitler? Wait,
Mecha Hitler. That would be good.
Red Skull.
God, then we can then they can buy, the Wolfenstein franchise and just bring in BJ Blazkowicz and
Other names.
so yeah,
Okay.
no, all of a sudden my biggest complaint
Who owns Wolfenstein?
Wait, under goal for Adolf Hitler is really funny though.
Yeah, goal is to slave the mice.
He failed though. He failed. Thank God.
Failed.
Apparently, yeah, which is good.
Wow.
We want to see some
I
nice
am-
group solidarity there.
I am yeah, no,
Some of those
my
don't make
biggest
sense.
complaint now, my biggest complaint now
Well,
about Multiverse is less
Bulldog
so-
is awesome. I love Bulldog. Bulldog is now my favorite Warner Brothers character because if you go back to Adolf Hitler, we can see Adolf
Right.
Hitler's fate right here. Bulldog is the greatest Warner Brothers character of all time.
I
Hell
see.
yeah.
Much better
So
than
yeah, that's my biggest complaint is not that Warner Brothers owns so damn much media that it's concerning.
including Hitler
It's that
himself.
Bulldog and Hitler were not characters.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean, we do have more announcements, so I mean,
Yeah.
there's a future possibility that they can add Hitler and Bulldog and Hitler.
Well, if they add Bulldog to Multiverse, I'm gonna have to get Multiverse and be a Bulldog main.
Yeah. If you're a Rain Dog main, I don't know if we could.
No Rain Dog mains allowed.
Rain Dog is really just kind of Rain Dog. The minute that Rain Dog came up, the stream just changed, and I'd like to undo that damage.
This is the anti-Rain Dog League now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like Rain Dog brought nothing of value, really. I don't think. If anything, he's led us to Hitler. So
and Hitler
and Top Cat, in fairness, but this is definitely.
To be fair,
Rain Dog was only 2 pages separated from Hitler, so we know he's
right.
bad.
This is not looking good.
Yeah,
this is the internet. Everything is like 2 degrees from Hitler.
But particularly Rain Dog. Rain Dog is closer than many, and I think as of right now, he's. I think
Rain Dog is canceled.
Yeah, Rain Dog's canceled. You're out of here.
Hashtag cancel Rain Dog.
Let's talk about Prey.
Yeah. Let's talk about fucking Prey.
Woo! Yeah, who else got to see it?
I watched it. It's amazing. I love it.
Well, I saw the trailer Comic-Con weekend, obviously, when it dropped, and holy shit, did that. They said at first that for the first trailer weren't even going to reveal the Predator, and then decided to. So at first it wouldn't be advertised as even a Predator movie. But oh god, that trailer was so good. And then we got a Comanche dub immediately out the gate. And all that Comic-Con weekend, they were promoting that. They were excited about that. Every interview, the cast and the crew were like talking about Comanche culture, and in some of the interviews we're sharing Comanche language. We're like, talking about customs, talking about like their experiences and feeling closer to their culture by doing this and actually recreating some of like the way that their ancestors did things and lived, and they actually were doing that. Also, it was really funny because the main actress was also talking about how pretty much every damn shot in there, she is hiding a cell phone somewhere.
Nice.
So that's fun to think about. But anyways, holy shit. What did y'all think of that movie when that dropped, and what language did y'all watch it in when y'all first watched it?
I watched it in just English because when I went to go watch it, and I looked at I wanted to watch it in Comanche, but when I looked in my menu because I watched it on Hulu, and for some reason I don't know if because I watched it like the day it came out and they hadn't uploaded it yet, but my only 2 options, it's hidden.
It was it's not dub on the main one. It's in the it's slightly hidden. It's in the extras.
Oh god.
There's the trailer and the Comanche dub in the extras.
All right, well,
of the main movie. It's really fucked up the way they did that, in my opinion. Also, admittedly, I love the Comanche dub in many ways, and you actually like get a lot of nuances and things like that you don't otherwise get in the English one. But it is a dub. It was not filmed in Comanche, and you can tell it's a dub at times. It does not match up all the time, things like that. And that's really sad, especially since they said that originally they had the green light to do it all in Comanche, and we're not planning on releasing an English version. except for English subs. But they weren't going to release an English audio track for it. And I really wish that the studio would have actually let them, because they originally greenlit that and then changed it changed their minds last minute before they went to film. And so, yeah. But the actors talked about the original scripts they got said all dialogue in Comanche, like on the script.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see the difference. My wife watched it in English the first time, and then we watched it together in Comanche when I watched it with her. And there were some things we noticed that were like a little less, I don't know, detailed in the Comanche version. And I think that's just up to, what's available and what's been preserved of the language. And so it was kind of interesting to see the way they got around that was actually pretty cool, because they were doing some things with idiom, right, and metaphor that I thought were really interesting and gave us like a little bit more insight into Comanche culture than you get, even just watching English version, which was quite a lot. One of my friends, who is a herbalist type person, was trying to figure out what exactly the yellow flowers she uses at the end are. We're not sure yet, but she's working on it. And it was, so yeah, there was a lot of really interesting things going on there. I really had a fun time hearing all the dude bros who are upset about it, saying things like, "Oh, the Predator was, able to defeat all these dudes with, American military dudes with guns, but like one person with a bow and arrow, ended up defeating him in this movie. What the hell?" And it's like,
It was one person with fucking. It wasn't a bunch of dudes with guns in the first one,
right.
even.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
All the
Arnold.
dudes with
Exactly,
guns,
and it
because
wasn't.
that's
It
not
wasn't
how you
even.
defeat the Predator.
And it wasn't even until Arnold stopped. They stopped trying to use modern weaponry that he was able to defeat the Predator.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, I kind of wonder if these people watch the franchises they're
didn't.
criticizing sometimes.
They don't.
They never
And it's
do.
fucking.
No.
And also, let's acknowledge the fact that the flower makes way more sense than fucking mud. Mud does
Mhm.
not cover your fucking heat like that.
Mhm.
And that makes no damn sense. And I don't know why we don't talk about how fucking just factually incorrect that part of Predator 1 is. Like, it makes no sense unless Predator's, like, tech is completely different from ours as far as their infrared stuff. So I really don't get that at all. But also, sure, is it in many ways a beat? Like, does it in many ways follow the same beats as the first one? Almost to a T in some ways.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that's purposeful. I think it's trying to do the first one, but better in some ways.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, it was a
yeah.
lot of fun that there's been some other really big native wins lately. In particular, so Sasheen Littlefeather, who not everyone might know this. This is the woman who refused an Academy Award on behalf of Marlon Brando back in the 70s, because of the way that Hollywood had portrayed Native Americans for decades at that point. This is the person that what's his face, John Wayne, tried to attack on stage when she was leaving. The Academy just announced that she has been invited back as a guest of honor for this upcoming year. Yeah, so it's exciting to see some of this stuff, start to get corrected, or at least acknowledged.
Yeah. So, speaking of things getting arguably corrected, this movie arguably made the AVP franchise no longer canon. In I mean, I guess there's nothing saying that they couldn't that I guess there's nothing saying that the trailers in advertising were wrong about it being the Predator's first hunt on Earth, because there's nothing in the movie that explicitly says that. In fact, actually, arguably, it says differently, because if we there are some who have interpreted the Thunderbird, like the fact that they had that mythos and and she mistaked the Predator for that. Some are saying that was just a mythologized version of them having seen Predator ships and stuff in the past as well. So actually, it could arguably be that it still takes place and doesn't decanonize AVP, but it does make you question why this predator, while it is a different species from a different hemisphere, um, has very different and very much more primitive technology than the predators we saw in AVP. So yeah, that's interesting. But holy shit, the tech that this one does have. The skull. The fact that we had 3 reveals just like the first one. We had him, we had the Predator revealed in his in his cloaked form. We had him revealed when he uncloaked, and then we had the reveal when his mask got taken off, just like the first one. Like, so good. The skull mask, the spike arrows instead of the bolts, like instead of the it's just so good. So good. Even the shield from what fucking game was that taken from? I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but that was taken from, yeah. That was inspired from something.
Oh yeah, and the scenes in it were amazing. The all the fight scenes were so good. I don't it's up there. It's one of my favorite Predator movies.
Yeah. The one thing that I really did not like is having the one indigenous trapper be the one be the origin of that gun from the second movie. Really be like, honestly, that undercut the actual former canon of that pistol. In the comics, it's in the comics that pistol, the Predator has it after he fights alongside a pirate captain by the same name. By that name, and he ends up fighting. They end up, well, originally he's trying to hunt this pirate captain, then they wind up in a situation in which they have to fight side by side, and he wins the Predator's respect. And he actually I forget, I think he might die or something. I forget exactly. It's been a while since I read those comics. But the Predator winds up with his pistol. And so when he gives it to Danny's character in when he gives it to the dude in the second movie, it's actually a sign of respect there, and that pistol means that much more to him because he got it from someone he respected as a great warrior, and he's passing it down to someone who is a great warrior. The Predator in this movie does not give a shit about that trapper in any way, shape, or form that's anywhere near as comparable and it kind of feels like it just comes out of nowhere. Like, sure, it can be seen as respectful to her in some ways that he gives her a pistol, but like, it's not a pistol that means anything to him. So like, it just kind of undercuts that. If they would have kept with the original canon of that pistol, him giving it to her would not have been bad, because the predator that actually like has it in Predator 2 is a completely different predator. So it could be that she winds up with that it was the pirate captain's, a predator gets it, and then passes it on to the predator and prey, who gives it to her, and then eventually another predator gets a hold of it after her and then passes it on in the second movie. Either way, that's just nitpicking the canon, but that was the one thing that I really did not. That's the one thing I didn't like as much. Yeah. Any other Prey shit? I know we got a couple tiny more Comic-Con news things before we jump into our next topic. Anyways, yeah, Kevin Smith hosted like, fucking 10 different panels. And jokingly called himself the Chris Hardwick of this year. He also announced in Clerks 3 that he has a new character who is creepily obsessed with cryptocurrency, and announced that that character's name is that character is played by his daughter's boyfriend, and the character's name is or nickname rather is Blockchain Coltrane. So that'll be fun to watch. He also recently worked with he actually also recently ended up working with Jericho to release the his Painmaker comic based off of his Japanese wrestling persona as an NFT exclusive, very similar to what Kevin recently did with his movie Kilroy Was Here. So that's very interesting. And speaking of wrestlers, AEW was very big this Comic-Con, talking about the big news was, of course, Vince McMahon's retirement and how that's going to change a lot of things, but also, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is not worker owned, but it is for wrestlers by wrestlers. It's actually owned by wrestlers and not just, people removed from that shit to that degree. So it's actually pretty interesting to see a lot of them in interviews talk about how much better the working conditions are, how much more control they have, etc. And we're hoping that, with Vince McMahon out of WWE, that maybe they will get slightly better too. And yeah, I think that's all in Comic-Con news. Well, no, one last thing. One last big thing. Comic-Con did start with, was overshadowed, much like MegaCon this year, with a death of a great. And that was comic book legend Alan Grant, the creator of the Batman villain Anarchy. Former anarchist turned neotech. Neotechist. I don't know what the term is. And very interesting person. Who also worked with Chuck Dixon a number of times on some amazing comics. But yes, what are your thoughts about Alan Grant's passing and Anarchy as a character, especially?
Well, I thought it was really sad. Um, yeah, probably the only character or comics that are like one of the very few that's so explicit. You get some of Moore's stuff as well, and some others, but yeah, the character of Anarchy, really fun, really weird, and hard to probably hard to boil down, I would say. Alan Grant also created a villain I really like called the Ventriloquist, who is a weird Batman villain that I really enjoy, who like kind of has a personality problem and kind of copes and communicates through his gangster puppet, Scarface inspired puppet. But yeah, yeah, I don't know if anyone else.
Really love that Anarchy challenges Batman's worldview and politics. And I really find it funny that like Chuck Dixon is now complaining about people having political agendas in comics, even though he's working with, Archaven Comics, which has a political agenda for their comics. Um he also worked with Alan Grant a number of times and seems to respect him, but Alan Grant very explicitly created a character for the sole purpose of spreading his philosophy. And which at the beginning was, more anarcho-socialist, possibly anarcho-communist, I forget. But I know, like, we get such great moments as Robin reading the Black Flag newsletter, the Anarchist Black Cross's newsletter, which you can donate to the Anarchist Black Cross up above in the little overlay. And that, because what is it? I mean, it's go support anarchist prisoners. It's that month. And I mean, do it all time of year. This month is just to promote this even more, so people remember that this is a cause that we always need to support. But to
Well,
have a comic,
it's also Running Down the Walls month, which if you have a local anarchist Black Cross, you can sign up for their 5K, which also supports anarchist prisoners. It's called Running Down the Walls.
yeah. And I love the fact that we had a comic that drew any sort of attention to these type of issues. The fact that we had the Anarchist Black Cross highlighted in a comic. It's absolutely amazing. And I think there were definitely some questionable things. Like, I do think it's a little weird that his first target was a low-level drug dealer. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't it wasn't appropriate target at all, because Johnny Vomit or whatever his name was did seem like an asshole who was selling, pretty shitty drugs to kids. But like, I remember his message painted on the wall was much more vague than that. It wasn't targeted, it wasn't targeted towards like selling drugs to kids or selling tainted drugs as much. It was just more vague, kind of anti-drug shit. And it was like, okay, that's weird.
I thought it was I deal drugs, I kill kids.
That's okay. Yeah. But
so
like,
I think it was
even that still, it was confused. It wasn't explicit like I deal drugs to kids. That's the issue. It just I deal drugs, and also because of that, I end up killing kids, which is cool. But like, I mean, not cool, but you know what I mean. Like it points out fucking that yes, he's harming children specifically, and that's also bad. But it also just kind of comes off as anti-drug too. a little more than I, would have expected.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, fuck the drugs he was selling. That has killed many people I love. But, like, it still is a lot less nuanced than you would expect. And I find that there was a number of times where that character's so over the top and ham-fisted that it lacks, like, really any real new. And I get it's a comic character. You're supposed to be a little over the top, but I don't know. It really does come off every bit as ham-fisted as a lot of people claim that, like, SJW politics is supposedly in modern comics. That literally feels just that ham-fisted to the degree that it's not even always an accurate representation per se. And then also when he further and further strays, and it would be interesting if we had Roderick here to get his take on it, because I know I know he very much has a lot more interesting takes on Rand, and I really don't have much I like about her. But Alan Grant's later turn towards neotech philosophy, which is just basically transhumanist objectivism from what I can gather. But like, and that's where you had Anarchy get very into some kind of woo science bullshit too. That all the bicarnal brain like shit, and him working with all those different weird machines, and that was all part of neotech. And I was looking into that shit, and it's wild. It was started by some tax protester, which hell yeah, but it's like combining objectivism and all kinds of weird shit. And it's both a political philosophy, and apparently the dude claimed it as a religion too. Because specifically when he was being tried for tax evasion, he tried to do his own alternative oath that included some weird neotech language, and they refused. And so he was actually able to overturn their ruling based on that, or get that verdict overturned based on that. And because he was convicted in that trial of tax evasion, but he got that ruling overturned based on religious freedom, violation of religious freedom. And so they brought him back to court, let him take his own weird oath, and then he still got convicted. And I'm sorry, like, I don't mean to lie about somebody getting convicted for tax evasion. That really sucks. And in general, fuck the prison system. But
fuck taxes. Yeah, we can say
that.
Fuck
taxes, fuck the prison system, all that shit. But I do find it funny that that he went through all that and it still just ended up the same.
It can't top Carl Hess's letter, which I don't remember the specifics of it. I need to review that.
I do know some of that is exaggerated to the extent that he wasn't allowed to deal with money and shit like that. But I do still, it is pretty infamous for a reason, though, even if it has been exaggerated. It's pretty legendary.
Absolutely.
But
I really liked how, just to touch back on Alan Grant's weirdness and like evolution through time. I mean, I feel like however weird it was, and I agree, there's a lot going on there. I feel like it kind of worked for the better with, like, it just makes those comics more interesting. It makes the character more interesting than a lot of others. He speaks up to his audience. Like, it's comic books, it's children's characters, it's guys running around in capes and types. Like, but he's still interested in like keeping that silliness, but then also like talking about ideas and like seriously exploring that. Because even from the beginning, they're so dense in a way. The Anarchy's monologues and there's so many weird intellectual influences in there, because he often sounds much more left wing, but then he also often condemns specifically initiatory force. He sounds more like a Rothbard at sometimes. Force and fraud, he has a big emphasis on. And then later.
in his book stack when they were going through his books that he had like Proudhon and Marx and maybe Rand from the beginning.
Yeah, I remember that in the, I think it's Bakken and Marx and Rand, but definitely
Oh yeah.
like mentioning that he's just like reading them and kind of soaking in their ideas, and then I guess he comes into his, with his own kind of mishmash. So I like it. It's fun. It's stuff to chew on, even though it was never like, some sort of perfect.
No, but can we talk about how he had a copy of V for Vendetta in his room, and then he chose to dress like he did? Yeah. Okay, he was very clearly like, it may not have been explicitly stated in the comic, but I mean, Alan Grant did admit that he did base like Anarchy's costume on V. But the fact that he owns that Lonnie owns a copy of V for Vendetta in canon, that actually also means that Lonnie is such a fanboy that he based his costume off of V in canon, and that's just not explicitly stated. And I love that detail. It's so good. Also, I love how much Robin like starts to agree with Anarchy to an extent. I mean, not fully. He's somewhere, but he does a little bit more than Bruce. Like, he does a little bit more than Batman. Now, Batman does get challenged by Lonnie's beliefs enough that he reconsiders some things, but not enough that he really took it to heart. And it's really sad.
Yeah, he kind of agrees. I remember like when Anarchy's introduced, like Batman speaks very sympathetically towards him and says he agrees with his ends.
But he also,
but at the same time,
you could tell he saw him as idealistic and dismissed it. He definitely wasn't. He thought he was noble, but he definitely didn't think that we could get to the vision that of anarchism that Lonnie fucking. He's probably one of those people like, oh, you mean well, but like, we can't live without a state.
Almost a sort of ML arc, from Batman over here. So
Batman's confirmed tanky.
Yeah, no. Well, no, he keeps fighting the KG Beast and all them.
I really like how actually with Robin's sympathy is fitting, because I believe Anarchy was like when he was first introduced, thought maybe they would turn him into Robin because he was introduced after the death of Jason Todd. So I think maybe without Tim Drake, they might have taken him there. So that's a really delightful alternate universe. Yeah, that's a great I feel like to think about a world in which that character became Batman's sidekick, because then you would have seen even more, I feel like, exploration of that.
And DC didn't let him do that. They also did something that he didn't like. He didn't really. They pushed him into making. They pushed him into the Joker connection. For those who haven't read the comics, like at one point, Lonnie finds out that Joker is his dad. DC pushed him into that, and he said the only way that he would do it is if Lonnie later finds out that that wasn't true. DC canceled the comic series before that reveal happened. So in a lot of fans' minds, Joker lied and is not Anarchy's dad. But in the comics officially, they have never retconned that he's his dad officially, and never had Joker say that that was a lie. So it's kind of up to the fans. And as far as what we know we have nothing that immediately disproves what Joker stated and what Lonnie discovered. So who knows? But Joker is a chronic liar. I also canonize Joker as very asexual, and that's also why I really dislike Brian Azzarello's like interpretations, because he seems to sexualize them to a degree that is weird. And I mean, in the Harley Quinn show, it makes sense that he's at least like making out with her and being all gross like that. But that also just seems more manipulative than actually like wanting to, you know. Also, like the Harley Quinn trailer drop, they played that fucking the first episode or two of that, and then yay, that finally dropped. In general, this season has been great. Holy shit!
Yeah,
I need to watch this season.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
great.
gay as shit. They said they're not going to break them up. They said that's not planned at all.
They better not.
Also, T. Franklin got announced for yet another tie-in miniseries that is going to take place between this current season and the next season after. So hopefully this will be a trend that as long as this show's going on, we'll continue having seasons like that, or mini series between seasons like that written by T, because her last one was amazing. Anyways, yeah, anything else on that shit?
It's interesting how I think T. Franklin's been mentioned at least, I feel like once on every one of these streams, because there's just, there's a lot to talk about, like
her career so far has been absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah.
She also just did the Archie the Archie Jumbo comics. She had her Jumbo comic premiere a couple weeks ago, last month. And that was, yeah, no, it's amazing. Like, she's in old school, like traditional Jumbo Archie comics, or specifically Jumbo World of Betty and Veronica, I believe it was.
Yeah, and of course, given all of the discourse surrounding that, I forgot specifically what it was, but she and Eric July got into some form of. It was some form. I don't remember the details. It was some form of confrontation, but
he's been calling her out, for
technical
doing
term.
Self-insert characters, which has been a common accusation against her over the fact that she tends to, all her original characters so far, since she's done, DC and Archie, and this is excluding her recent Marvel contributions, they're all queer, black, disabled characters. And who would have guessed a queer, black, disabled woman writes characters that she understands?
Very curious.
He accuses them of being self-insert characters. He is currently writing a comic about a black man. A straight black man. A straight cis black man. Is he presumably, just as able-bodied as he is? I mean, more so, because it's a superhero comic.
Well, it's
it's just like, okay, so you're writing, and he even talks about a ton about how, because he's a comic skater, but he talks a ton about how, backtracking, for those unfamiliar, Eric July, before he really became known in comics, is quite known in libertarian spaces, and I'm sure a lot of our C4SS listeners
have been
viewers
bullied,
definitely know. He is involved with the Libertarian Party, involved in ANCAP circles. He's the former singer of Fire from the Gods, and he is the current singer of Backwards, which
you may remember from the viral video. Which you may remember from the viral video at the Mises Caucus event with the 2-person mosh pit.
Yeah, not a terrible band per se, but it is funny that all the guest stars that they've had from like big names have all been clearly just it's all been clearly shit that he features that I forget what website it is that you can go to that's basically Cameo for musicians, and they're badly edited. Something like that. They're in the Attila one is badly edited in.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
did.
so badly edited in.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm not saying the song, like musically, it's
It's one of
edited
their better
well.
ones.
It's the video that is edited badly.
Yeah, it's just
And,
like.
Uh,
But
so Eric July is someone who simultaneously I am still to this day extremely impressed with
Mhm.
and hate.
Right.
He does, I mean, he's a good musician. He can rap, he has good, he can sing, like he does
Live vocals, but that's the game you play. Yeah.
You can't win everything, but like, his he's doing politics and all that shit. Like he's doing comics, and the big thing is he has been buddying up to the Mises Caucus, and a lot of people outside of the libertarian world don't necessarily know his politics, but now as much, except for the fact that he does talk about him a lot in his YouTube channel. But he's working straight up for fucking Blaze Media.
Yep.
Well, he got
whatever.
his launch working with Liberty Hangout, the Tradcast
now he's
Wiper
working
people.
for fucking, now he's working for Blaze, Glenn Beck's bullshit. Like it, and on top of this, he's now getting into comics. How appropriate. With the launch of the Rippaverse, which admittedly, cool name for a universe, shitty name for a comic company.
Right.
Like, you notice Marvel doesn't call themselves the Marvelverse. DC, like, they don't call their publisher label the Marvelverse. DC doesn't call their publisher label the DC Universe. Image doesn't call their publisher the Imageverse.
Well,
they're
not currently.
Image Comics, DC Comics, and Marvel Comics.
Well, it's named after him because his stage name was Young Rippa.
I know,
So,
but what I'm saying is name your universe Rippaverse, name your comic publisher Rippa Comics.
Yeah,
you don't name your fucking comic label your universe name. Like it's weird. Like nobody does that.
Yeah.
Well,
Eric July does that.
Yeah.
No.
So let's start out. I want to start out with what I like about this because surprisingly a lot. His launch has come out fucking strong. People have accused him of cooking the books, but nah, I have not seen evidence of that. He showed us the back end, the PayPal orders. He's got his, crowdfunding campaign and all the pre-orders. Like that's visible. Like he's been fairly transparent with that. People that have been accusing him of that have been like asking him for weird info, like his fucking business tax number, so they can like look up like. They want his tax ID so they can look up his finances and like nobody's going to give you their business tax ID.
No,
like that's fucking stupid.
Especially
and they're
on
saying
NANCAP,
they're saying that he's hiding the finances because he won't hand over like personal government info.
Well, I'm sure he's hiding who's funding him because I mean it's probably Koch brothers and.
Well, I mean, I don't even know that he's necessarily hiding who's funding him. I mean, I don't know that he's hiding that because he's openly promoting shit on the same YouTube channel he talks politics on. He is advertising his comics as non-woke, not anti-woke, non-woke.
Yeah.
Very weird.
It's Marjorie Taylor Greene that's financing.
And but it's very interesting that, and it could be that he is having like a bunch of people inflate the numbers by buying shit, But either way, sales numbers show like pretty fucking strong. I think it was like he's got like 34,000, like close to 40,000 fucking sales so far, and we're talking about a $35 fucking book. Nobody buys books for that price. Granted, it's because he's doing the alt-right grift, the Comicsgate grift, and so a lot of people are buying it based on ideology.
People will literally throw their money at that.
And so, I mean, there is that. But it is interesting, too, that he's talking about, like, and some of his some of his like shit that he talks about in his videos, I do, I don't necessarily disagree with, but he's talking about like rather than getting sloppy seconds from other characters, he prefers, with changing like race, gender, like sexuality, whatever, as he talked about, he'd rather original characters, which he tried to do with the Rippaverse and having original black characters.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's very interesting that he, has talked about like, his own fucking, I mean, he's a separatist in many ways and a nationalist,
Mhm.
but he's talked about how he would rather deal with black people in most of his dealings. And, now
Mhm.
he's creating like, not exclusively, but like he is creating black characters and talking
Mhm.
about like he's black, like he's putting in some of the black experience into that. And
Right.
then he's criticizing T. Franklin for doing the same thing
Mhm.
with her characters and drawing in her experience and creating original fucking characters as
Right.
he's telling people to do if you want to do that.
Mhm.
Um and it's just wild, the hypocrisy, but it's just, let's be real. The art is fucking amazing.
Mhm.
He's drawing in pretty awesome artists.
Who are some of his
He's
artists he's getting? Is he
You,
getting people from? Is he getting people from like?
He got the
He's
dude
getting.
who, I forget his name, but he got the dude who just quit from the fucking Superman Son of Kal-El comics for fucking
Mhm.
the dude who just quit because Superman's bi, but also more importantly because Superman's son's bi, but
Mhm.
also more importantly because Superman's motto was changed from truth, justice, and the American way to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which is a way better fucking slogan for a
Mhm.
socialist
Yeah,
superhero.
I'd like tomorrow to be good, maybe
Yeah, I mean,
better, you
Superman
know?
is a socialist fucking superhero and always has been. He's
Mhm.
also very much a fucking, even though he hasn't necessarily been a Jewish character, like he's very much a metaphor and an allegory for that and just the immigrant
Mhm.
experience in general. But I mean, he was fighting landlords and bosses and the Klan and shit. Like, come on,
Mhm.
he's a fucking like. Ugh. But
Right.
anyways, um, so I forget the guy's name, but he fucking went off after
Gabe.
that and he quit. Sent a fucking resignation letter or something to Jim Lee, and told him like Jim Lee should be ashamed because his parents are immigrants and his home country didn't give him shit. It was all
Mhm.
America that gave him what he has now and like his
Mhm.
career and everything, and he should be more thankful to America. And they're both
Mhm.
immigrants, and their parents got and their families got all they got from America and not their home
Yeah.
countries. And so he went off and created his own characters in response to this whole controversy. He created 3 new characters called Truth, Justice, and American Way, and his indie series follows them, and they are heroes who are doing their best, but then disgraced by the fake news into
Mhm.
being, seen as villains for, coming up short of being the perfect heroes. And so,
Mhm.
that's some bullshit. And now he's working with Eric July.
Mhm.
I would not be surprised if Chuck Dixon ends up working with him at some point, considering he interviews Chuck Dixon all the fucking time.
Mhm.
Um, like he's had some pretty cool people. He's teased some other people. No specifics, but he's teased that he has some other people that are bigger names that he's poaching from the fucking mainstream industry, and I believe him.
Mhm.
And what's wild is I don't agree with the politics of his publisher at all, obviously. I do kind of agree with the ethics though.
Hmm.
And here's what I mean by that. It's still not focused on workers' rights to the degree that it should be, of like, actually having fucking worker control.
Mhm.
I think Image is the closest to that, with both creator ownership and currently being unionized. But as far as his label, like he is trying to focus on creator rights and he is being transparent. He also decided that nothing is going to be retconned out of continuity, and there's not really going to be like multiverses and stuff like that, because he wants everything to be like one continuous timeline that people can collect and nothing ever falls out of canon. But mainly it's just the transparency and the creator control and things like that you can really see the inspiration of Image in what he's trying to do. And I think that that's really cool. I do think it's ironic that he talks about how, and part of the ethics is he'll let the free market decide, as if we're in a free market, whether his characters live or die, and they have to be good characters to survive. Which, yes, absolutely. I also find that funny since that's how the comic industry works in general. And the reason why we're getting as much representation as we are in comics is because it's actually demanded. And oftentimes when that representation is shit, they either have to shift and make it better or get rid of them. Such in the case of like Snowflake and Safe Space, just being a small blip in comics history and hopefully never being heard of again. Anyways, yeah.
Well, if we want to watch the Rippaverse trailer, part of it, I actually finished a game on stream.
Yeah. That was fucking awesome.
Y'all, Cory, the past couple of streams, some of them have been okay, but some of them have revealed that I am a terrible gamer. I'm much better at old N64 games than anything newer.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, like, what is that game you were playing? I don't think of.
That's Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
It's just an old N64 game? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I noticed it was based on that movie. So I did notice you were struggling too with that one part.
That one level, yeah.
That one level was really giving you, but all right, sweet. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do we want to see the trailer?
Let's see the trailer.
And while you're pulling that up, Cory, I know that you, I feel, am I correct in saying that I kind of brought the Rippaverse stuff to your attention? I'm just wondering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I
never heard of it. I only know Eric July from libertarianism and anarcho-cap, and yeah, he was like, I really remember him. I think there was just that one interaction of his where he was saying Nazis could be libertarians, because if the Nazis not initiating force in that moment, so that's really sound logic, I thought, and I was really impressed by his argumentative skills, and I've been a fan.
Right.
No, but that was really the only thing I knew him from, and then you mentioned this like on non-woke comic company, and I never even so.
Yeah, it's this man. I have mentioned this before. I am a former. I've bought the Backwards album on multiple platforms over the course of political development because I am I don't know how that happened. I think I got it on Bandcamp once, and then
they are the only good ANCAP band, and they do have some fucking. I mean, they're not great.
Now,
but they do have some.
Are there other ANCAP bands?
I was going to ask because I've looked.
No, I don't know that there are. Also, have you ever heard? I think it was this NSYNC cover that they did.
Oh yeah, I did.
It's actually pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Porter Robinson used to be an ANCAP.
Oh yeah.
Well, what about ANCAP? What about what's it what's the band called? The one that no, they're not an ANCAP band. They're the opposite of an ANCAP band. Oh fuck, what's the guy's name? The Mises Caucus guy now, who was a big one-hit wonder band that's now Mises Caucus.
I mean,
fuck.
I know that like Phil Levante from-
all that remains, yeah,
Yeah,
Phil,
all that
all that
remains.
remains. That's an ANGL
Wait,
band, right?
he's in
He's not, but
wait,
he's
is he
more of
Mises
a
Caucus?
Yeah.
oh,
Wait, what?
oh dear God.
Is he actually involved?
Oh,
From my
Oh,
understanding, yeah.
Philip.
What?
Phil, my
Holy
guy.
shit, I gotta tell my roommate this shit.
I love how like Phil. The only thing I know Phil Levante from is that he like filled in for Five Finger Death Punch one time when I think Ivan Moody was like going through it or something, and it's just like he also called Tom Morello a statist over like gun control stuff, which is just like, dude,
I mean, yes, Tom
it's
Morello
more complicated
has
than
some
that.
kind of statist ideas sometimes, but he's actually
Yeah.
pretty libertarian.
Yeah, it's not like he gets up there and is like, you know, just fucking raving about state and revolution and how we all have to read it, and that'll like, you know, it's very, it's not as, yeah. But I didn't think Levante was like full ANCAP. I know he's libertarian, very big into his guns, but
Well, I don't know if the Mises Caucus people are necessarily ANCAPs. They're more just terrible people.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's wild to sit here and be like, Eric July's politics are terrible, and then talk about like all the things that are still cool about him and his comic label and everything else.
right.
But
I'm
also,
really
like-
happy for him. Like he's like if his pre-orders that he's getting for his comic are legit and like he's putting up
Yeah.
numbers and building up a pretty cool little thing, and he could do wonderful things with comics. I mean, his interesting, like there are people who are absolutely awful politically who do amazing comic work. And I'll give you one example who lives by me, which is a giant red flag. Anyone who lives by me is probably a terrible person. I live in an awful area. John Mallon. He has terrible politics, but his work with the Cable comics and Captain America comics, he did really good art for him. But he's terrible.
Yeah.
He's a terrible politics.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I'm
so,
praising Chuck Dixon while talking about the fact that he's working for a literal fucking what was it, Nat C?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. We don't want to spread any
know,
false rumors, you know.
Success with these comics could be good for Eric July's politics. I brought up Porter Robinson a little bit ago, and he was, you know, a real Mises variety ANCAP when he first started making music, and now, you know, he's kind of a run-of-the-mill liberal, in part because he got so much attention and became so famous as a dubstep artist that the influence of, you know, fan feedback and having that much attention, he just couldn't hold on to such fringe ideas anymore. So I don't know.
Man, that sucks. I know the one song of that has Jeff Riggenbach's voice in it from quoting like a Murray Rothbard.
Yeah,
it's from the audiobook that Jeff Riggenbach did. Yeah, it's like really weird. I didn't know that person turned into a liberal.
And I'm not necessarily saying that like centrist liberal is better, but for Eric July having some kind of, I don't know, dampening influence on the most extreme stuff might be good.
Because when I was, you know, when I was young and, you know, guided differently, right? I basically, a lot of his stuff was talking about police violence. Like that's a huge, like that's the breakdown segment.
Now he's criticizing BLM.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
But it's weird because I feel like even in that song, I think there was a minute where there was like some kind of, and maybe this is the music video or something like that, but it's like he kind of has held this line of like, you know, you have to be anti-state in this very specific way or else like you're just, I forgot what he called, he used the term Stockholm syndrome a lot to describe statism, which is, I mean, it's more complicated than that.
Can we still talk about? Can we talk about how the term fucking statheist is still a terrible pun, and I hate it.
It doesn't work. It's
Wait,
like
statheist.
Yeah, he has a song called Backwards has a song called Statheist.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna use
it involves it's actually a really kind of it's one of those like makes you think music videos. Honestly, at some point, like those videos are like there's a picture of FDR, and then it's like because as we all know, that's the guy who came up with statism. But and then it's like at the end, it's like on fire or something, and he's just screaming out this "Stay and it's like it doesn't work. And the chorus has gone 3 times. It doesn't. Come up with a new word, please, God.
It's really bad. So, yeah, no, I'm really honestly. If his comic was any cheaper than $35 plus fucking $10 on like $10-15 on top of that for shipping and shit, I would have probably already bought a copy.
Why is it so much? Isn't it not like a normal comic book? I don't.
Well, it's
like paper.
The price of taking the red pill.
Yeah, the red pill tax.
Right.
I want to say it's I think it might be a shorter. I don't know because I think it's just an issue.
Well,
I don't know.
Remember the last ANCAP. Remember the last ANCAP comic book venture the voluntarist or whatever the hell it was. How much was he selling his comics for?
Oh, he never even tried to actually break into the real comics like fucking industry to any extent that I know of. I don't know that he was even I hope he wasn't going to cons dressed in that fucking awful outfit.
Well, it was
he was coming to libertarian conventions, but I hope he wasn't going to like comic conventions with that because holy shit, that was ham-fisted as fuck. So much worse than Anarchy.
$2.99 you can buy a digital copy.
And also he isn't he like dating or married to the philosopher?
Yeah.
Libertarian guys with Asian wives.
He is the libertarian guys with Asian wives guy.
He is awful.
Well, the most horrifying thing that the two of them did is a music video called, what is it called? Partying at Tom Wood's house? Or just
we should probably just watch that.
You want to watch that?
Yeah, we need some cringe going on.
Are we?
Oh my God!
Do we all consent affirmatively to going to party at this Tom Woods? Oh God, I can't even finish the thought.
I don't think we have anything to worry about partying at Tom Woods' house because we're not his tutor students, so we should be safe.
Shit.
I
am not opposed to it. And then maybe we could get back to Rippaverse stuff and watch the Rippaverse trailer.
Okay.
Let's take a cringe break and then
we gotta have a cringe break.
We have to lower the bar so that it makes Eric look better, so that he'll come on the show and we'll say very nice things.
So I had to look up to see how much he was selling his for, and apparently the Rippaverse and ANCAP's comics there have some crossover art.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, no, that was a thing from the beginning.
Yeah.
I follow the the voluntarist stuff because I met these people, him and the philosopher, at a conference once. And it's honestly very sad to me because she seemed very sweet and misguided.
You should pull that up on yours and share that. So once we're done with this, we can look at that artwork, crossover art.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to see that. And oh God, like
who's ready for the biggest cringe of your
go for it.
Getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down. What? Getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down, getting down. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down, getting down. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down at Tom Wood's house. Getting down, getting down. house. Lay up in the party, ooh, Tom Woods' house. Everybody chilling, ooh, Tom Woods' house. Bob Murphy grilling too, Tom Woods' house. Michael Malice killing booze, Tom Woods' house. Gold level spraying, going Super Saiyan, 3x5 slaying, Michael Bolden playing. Can I get a hit?
I love the
Are that
Tom
Mr.
Woods
saying?
microphone.
Privatization, Tom Woods' house. Big celebration,
Woods.
Tom Woods' house. Pouring libations, Tom Woods' house. Drink a bottle of the goose, Tom Woods' house. Light a little of the loose, Tom Woods' house. Pass a cup, oh you, Tom Woods' house. Serving me, serving you, Tom Woods' house. Podcast on cue, Tom Woods' house. One syndicated fool, Tom Woods. Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down, getting down.
I did not want to be
Getting
reminded
down at
of this.
Tom Woods'
I'm
house.
so
Getting
glad.
down at Tom Woods' house.
She's playing games with
Getting down at
herself.
Tom Woods'
No one else
house.
there.
Getting down,
Yeah,
getting
this is like
down.
it doesn't
Looking over
make me
real
wanna
cool.
go
Ron
there.
Paul at the pool, and the Fed floaties on. Shorty gold chains. Bring a friend, bring a crew. Backyard country scintillating snow cues. Mistakes, juju. Scott Horton bringing news of sake bomb brews. Can't
That's
cancel
so
these dudes.
dorky.
Michael Heiss already knew what a cock has got to do to get the party started. Gotta call up the Jews.
Hello?
Ring, ring, holla, holla. Got Mises, got Rothbard, got Rand, got Freeman, got
Wait,
Dean,
wait,
got
wait,
Block,
Paul,
got
wait,
Love
wait,
for
wait,
the
wait,
others,
wait.
all the sisters and
What did you
No, it's exactly what it was.
I
y'all.
forgot about that.
It's exactly
Holy
what it was.
shit.
She said what I thought she said, right?
No, she said
what you
juice.
thought
She said juice, James.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We're fine.
All right, it's fine. That's
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
move
all
on.
right.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
halfway through. Just
Here we go.
Alex,
and the
are you
Lloyd
like
and the ladies Liberty Doll and the
masochistic?
Kensettle twins, Free Knots, Berwick, Chris Koff, being libertarian, and Larry Reed Pop, autonomous zone at the Wildwoods home, status haters big mad at the free market dome. Getting down at Tom Woods' house, getting down at Tom Woods' house, getting down at Tom Woods' house, getting down,
I hate
getting down at Tom Woods' house,
never be
getting down at
whispered like
Tom
that.
Woods' house, getting down
Ever.
at Tom Woods' house, getting down with Tom Woods.
what is this like bass synth
Can we
tone?
come over Tom Woods, like, for real?
I guess so.
Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down at Tom Woods' house. Getting down with Tom Woods.
I think my favorite part about it is that, well, Tom Woods was like nowhere to be found in the whole music video while they were just partying, except for like that one little, can I come over, Tom? Yeah. Like, yeah,
Yes.
I guess.
All right.
So,
Like-
can we just talk about the missed opportunity to rhyme Tom Woods' house with League of the South?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is why. Yeah, this is just.
Oh my! So now I want to make a parody of it.
Oh no! Oh,
A parody
Well,
of that?
we can want many things in this world, James, and maybe not all of it should come to fruition. Let's look at this.
We never should have watched that. Alex is
I
masochistic
want
for
to
putting us
see
through that.
Rippaverse now. I want to watch Rippaverse.
All right, I have to go soon, y'all. Though, so a few more minutes here.
Fair.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm so
Sadly.
sorry.
any final
Yeah, 'cause
thoughts
this is
on
great.
the
This is so
Rippaverse?
great.
Mm,
No, I don't know anything about it, but I just hate you, Alex, for making
Well-
us watch that. That's that'll be my parting.
Let's.
Mhm.
How much longer do you got? You got enough time to watch this trailer? and
Yeah,
respond
sure.
to
Let's-
it with
let's-
us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Let's. Oh dear God.
By the way, I will say while you're pulling this up, they have already been banned from several conventions for being aligned with hate groups.
Oh.
In this case, Comicsgate. And
Mhm.
I guess for some people probably know the Mises Caucus, but I'm sure it's mostly just them being comic
Yeah,
skaters.
comics.
And they're banned from the comic book subreddit, as the comic subreddit as well.
Oh.
They're banned from actually several comic subreddits, including.
I bet
that.
that's really good for their numbers, though.
Yeah, no, it is the fact that
Mhm.
they've gotten, and this is the thing about censorship, is it sometimes backfires.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, Tom Woods' house.
What a banger!
Thank you, Chris.
All skips, no bangers.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm so glad
Here we
Chris is
go.
watching.
Rippaverse.
Reverse. Let's rip that verse, dude.
I'm Eric July, founder, owner, and writer. Welcome to the Rippaverse.
This trailer is pretty dope.
The Rippaverse is the result of a comic book lifer that wanted to be a part of the solution instead of always griping about the problem. Now, don't get me wrong, this was always a part of my aspirations. However, the current climate certainly sped things up. You've watched some of your favorite comic book characters be bastardized to the point to where they're completely unrecognizable. They're just used as career stepping stones for a lot of writers that don't care about the lore. Some even despise their fans. Those are people that just want to tell stories that represent their social political views, even if they don't make sense for the characters that they're writing. And of course, these mega corporations that control these properties don't exactly make it easy for you to get in and understand what's canon.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time for something new. We are a comic book company first and foremost that will never be forgotten no matter how big this venture gets. And we are guided by a set of principles known as the Rippaverse ethic. You will find this on a page in every single book that we release, and it's a set of standards that we certainly want you to hold us to. There are three main things that we will always emphasize. Number one, respect the customer. We aren't owed your dollar, but we love to have you as longtime supporters. It's going to be up to us to keep you interested and invested. Now, anytime there's passion involved, there's going to be those conflicts, but we'll respect you. So as long as you respect us, it's all about reciprocity. Our second point of emphasis is canon and continuity. This is an ever-expanding universe. There's going to be many of characters that will be introduced. But when you buy a book from us, you own a piece of history. It matters. These events will not be erased by way of time travel or some multiversal aspect. And number three, a comprehensive timeline. No matter when you jump into this space, we want to make it easy for you to get caught up on some characters that you're interested in. So we're going to keep the reboots to a minimum. Now, don't worry. We know that picking up the pieces is part of the fun, so we're not going to exactly hold your hand. And while I personally value liberty, we're not going to beat you over the head with on-the-nose current politics and current narratives that will completely contradict what it is that we're trying to do here. So whether you're into our main character in our first book, Isum, or you're into Yaira, or you're interested in all of them, will certainly have you as a customer. Your ethnic background or genetic makeup is wholly irrelevant to us. Now, previously being part of comic book fandoms myself, I understand the importance of them. We'll do our jobs to preserve the sanctity on the business end, and we hope you will help us preserve a more healthy and thriving fandom. If we manage to do that, we're going to be very competitive in this market, and we're going to make our mark on this industry. We're not going to be perfect. Errors will be made, but we won't let that stop us from being great. So visit Rippaverse.com, where we have our own unique store that is tailor-made for our audience. A lot of our stuff will be released in campaign format with limited edition items, and once they're gone, they're gone. We'll be making books that expand across many different genres, so I'm very confident that we'll have something that is right for you in a series that you'll make your favorite. And one last thing. I started this company with no external investors, and that's something that I like to remain true. Sure, we want to expand in many different avenues, video games, animation, maybe even live action movies, but not if it means selling off assets. We only answer to the customer. We don't want to make the same mistake as the other guys.
Not having to answer to corporate, not having to answer to sponsors and other people they're selling their assets to.
Sounds like he's not a fan of capitalism.
Yeah, it's wild.
I was gonna say, we have a word for this system. It starts with a C. It's corporate.
Sadly, the Isum trailer wasn't on that as well. But the the story for Isom seems pretty cool too.
Mhm.
And
Well,
yeah,
we've come a very long way over these past 2 hours, maybe a little bit further in some respects. But yeah, thank you so much for being with us, Cory, and thank
well,
you,
we wanted
Roderick.
Cory's reaction, right?
Oh yeah,
Well,
give us
it
that.
makes me think of it just makes me think of the Rippers from Tank Girl, like the name of it. Like it makes me think this is like a universe of based around those characters, and that would be like cool, I think. But
Mhm.
we'll let the market
market
can
decide.
decide on Rippaverse, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah,
me.
as soon as I could find pirated scans, I'll read it.
It's
Mhm.
the market.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks everyone. This is really fun. So I'll come back on and
Absolutely.
I'll virulently shame Roderick for ghosting
Mhm.
us and me.
We'll do
As well.
we'll do a rap battle of some kind. I think that won't come off as cringy or insensitive. That'll be
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking
Oh,
we could do
great.
our own comic, like left libertarian comic universe, like C4
I mean, I am working on a character. I just need a art. Well, I mean, I have a number of scripts. I just need a consistent artist I can work, or at least I can work with for, a couple comics. So
there you go.
if anybody that has more free time than a lot of the people I've been working with wants to jump on a left libertarian comic, we could totally work on some shit.
Yeah. Well, until
Okay.
then,
Okay.
this has been
Thanks.
really cool.
Bye.
Bye-bye, y'all.
All right.